How lean you need to get to see that well-defined six-pack? Well, if you can't see yours right now, that means you are in the 25 to 30% body fat. Doesn't matter how much ab training you are doing, they won't pop unless you're lean enough. Because your six-pack may be there, but you can't see it because of the thick fat layer. It's not to say that ab training is useless. It's very common to hear in the internet, but let's be logical here. If you will diet only and skip ab training, yes, you can lower your body fat percentage, but you won't see your abs that well because you haven't trained them. They are muscles too. That's like saying, don't train your chest unless you're lean enough you can't see it. No one ever says that. So you need to train your abs. I will talk about good ab exercises, I will talk about diet, supplements, and some tools that can help you with your fat loss. I know we're long gone. Let's start with the diet, and right away I will advise you to not follow any particular fat loss diets because they fail at giving you results over the long term. It's simply bullshit that carnivore diet is better than keto diet for fat loss. As long as you are in a caloric deficit and you can stay consistent with your diet, they all work. But for the long-term results, here is what you do. First, you need to get into caloric deficit. Basically, you take your maintenance calories and cut 20%. If you don't know your maintenance calories, here's how to find out. The reason why 20%? Because it's not that big of a deficit, which is great. That means you can lose fat and minimize muscle loss. The higher your caloric deficit, at higher risk you are of losing muscle. Muscle loss during a fat loss period is a really bad thing. This review from 2017 done by Ed Kava and colleagues research studies that evaluated the effect of short-term 40 to 21 days of caloric restriction of about 30 to 40% of energy deficit on the role of muscle protein synthesis in young and middle-aged men and women who were overweight and obese, found that caloric restriction decreases the postprandial rate of muscle protein synthesis and decreases or does not change the basal rate of muscle protein synthesis. That to make you aware that short-term fat loss will come at the expense of muscle loss because you're gonna need to diet more aggressively and enter higher deficit. And to minimize your muscle loss, I highly recommend you to increase your protein intake and to eat from 1.6 to 2.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day. If you are at higher risk of muscle loss, go a little bit higher on protein. Timing of your meals and the frequency of your meals is less important. Just find timing and frequency that you can stick to and aim to hit your caloric and protein targets. I will recommend to minimize or exclude highly processed junk food because it has a lot of calories due to its high fat content and can easily put you in the surplus if you will overeat it. Now about ab training. To get your six-pack to pop, you need to overload it with weight. There is a lot of videos in the internet that are telling you to do the 10-minute body weight ab workout and conditioning to get your six-pack. They are okay because you are still burning extra calories, but they are not training your abs close enough to failure to stimulate a meaningful growth. For that, you need to do some weighted exercises. One weighted crunch like cable crunch or plate crunches, and one leg raise exercise. Or if you are not strong enough yet, one knee raise exercise. For the cable crunches, you're using your arms as a contact point and you do all your job with your six-pack while allowing lower back to round. That's the job of abdominal muscles and it is safe on this exercise. And for the plate crunches, you elevate your legs and crunch with squeezing your six-pack. For the cable crunch or plate crunch, you do 3 sets of 10 to 12 reps 2 times per week and take your last set all the way to the failure. That means you can perform another rep with a good form despite a great effort. And the same thing with leg raises. Cable or plate crunches will hit the entire abdominal muscles with slight emphasis on the upper abs. And leg raises will emphasize lower abs. For the leg raises, you can use a pull-up bar or a Roman chair, and if you can't do leg raises, do knee raises, that's fine. Add reps or weight every workout for progression. If you want to hit obliques, you can add some anti-rotation movement, and planks are okay for the core strength, but they won't build your six-pack because they simply don't provide enough tension as crunches and leg raises do, so I won't use them as my primary six-pack exercise. It would be smart to include cardio in your training because research consistently shows that active people tend to be more successful with weight loss, so feel free to include 2 to 3 cardio sessions per week. Now, common mistakes that people make. And the first mistake is a short-term fat loss. Rushing your fat loss is a very big mistake. Not only that's a good way to lose muscle and strength, but also it leads to crash diets and quick weight regain. So I will recommend to diet slowly, entering not more than 20% caloric deficit and staying consistent with the diet. Second mistake is excluding fats. Fats has double the amount of calories per gram than protein and carbs, but you still need to eat your fats for health reasons, and you need to eat at least 20 grams of fat per day. And the third mistake is relying on body weight scale too much. Scale is a very useful tool, but relying on it too much can be a very emotional thing, so I will recommend taking progress photos and waist measurements instead from time to time. Now, the supplements. All fat-burning supplements are bullshit because most of them don't work, and you can see some water loss at first, but you will be frustrated along the way, and they have serious health issues. The only free supplements that you can take that are effective and can help you with your fat loss are creatine, caffeine, and protein powder. Creatine metabolism plays an important role in adipose tissue bioenergetics and energy expenditure. Caffeine will improve your performance and will give you a really good mental boost for your workouts. And protein powder can be a very useful and convenient tool of getting in enough quality protein and hitting your daily protein targets. So that's it. I hope that you found this video helpful. If so, please leave me a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one.